What's up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at again here on Lost at Sea, and we are talking a little Big Brother. It's been a minute since we chatted last on the podcast, but glad to have you guys back on. How's everybody doing? A lot of good stuff, a lot of good episodes lately. Things are getting shaken up. So, how are you guys?
I'm great. I'm just glad that the show is like it's the entertainment value has risen.
Pat, how are you?
I I'm a whole mix of emotions,
Damn.
and I can't wait to dive right in.
Oh, okay.
So,
Good.
floaters, grab your life vest because we're about to dive in.
Nice.
Great quote. Great quote, Pat. So let's do that.
I got like 6 more I can just do. I can rattle off.
Yeah, you can pepper those in. Pepper those in for sure. Last time we spoke, we were talking about how, Taylor was HOH and she was debating putting her own allies on the block, but ultimately decided not to do that, with the counseling of her alliance. So she ends up going with Indy and Terrence. And then we kind of get some turmoil with the veto, Kyle winning the veto. And that competition in itself had a lot of drama. So what did you guys think of? First of all, Kyle had to make a decision there on whether to use it or not. Also, the punishments. That was another big do to do.
Go ahead, Pat.
That was a bold move. I thought that whole episode was really, really entertaining because I love that competition. It was really, really bold of Alyssa. It was like that weird kind of awkward where Alyssa's like, all right, well, I kind of want to take a vacation, and and Taylor's just like, well, I still have noms left, and I was like, she's not really gonna really.
I was like,
Yeah, I agree. It's like you just never see that. Typically they play it so safe, and it's as if she didn't realize she was in a major competition that's been televised for several weeks. Like she just was. It was like a girl finding out that she could go to spring break, and could care less about the exams and all of college leading up to it. She was just like, put it all on the line because I think she pictured her and Kyle kind of like frolicking around. And it was just it was a dumb move, but it doesn't look like it's now gonna hurt her much.
Yeah, it was interesting. She's like, I guess I'd love tea and crumpets. Let me take this. Like, it's like, really, London? I mean, Barbados maybe, but London, but it's like, that's a classic. You don't do that. You go for the veto, especially if you're in a compromising position, and it just shows that she didn't really give a shit. And ultimately, Kyle wins, and like this whole Taylor's like, well, I might put up Alyssa just to be petty, and it's like you already have your nominations, and they put Kyle in this position where they're like, well, maybe you should use it. And this was this, and then that was as soon as Taylor was like, okay, I want to go after Alyssa, and Monty's like, yeah, you absolutely should, even though everything was fine.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I was like, okay, this is a start. This is the beginning of the end.
there were a couple of interesting punishments for this competition. DJ Showtime had to do the 182 tattoos. Kind of crazy.
But let's just talk about that. It was hard finding a place on his body to put them after like 110. It was hard finding like real estate on his body. There's nobody else that has that much real estate. So if that punishment didn't go to him, they would have just been like overlapping tattoos, right? And what I love that Big Brother does is it waits till like it's like the producers watching the camera, and just as you fall asleep, when you're in that moment, then they're like, DJ Showtime, time to add another tattoo. And then he has to get up. He has to go over and do it. He has to get out of bed. He's got to like wet his skin. It's a whole thing. It was fantastic.
I love that on like number 5, he put it on his face, and I was like, I was like, Showtime, what do we do? It's like, all right, this is number 6. Let me do a huge beach ball right here. I was like, maybe save those for the end. I don't.
But you know what the other thing is that we don't learn. I mean, we don't see the process of putting on the tattoos before they first show him sitting in the HOH, not the HOH, the whatever the chairs are where the people are going to get voted out. And it pans. If you guys remember it, like the camera panned him, and I was like, wait, what the hell is that? Right? Right? It's like it was just. It was cool. And then we go back, then the show goes back and shows you the process of the putting on the tattoos. But that first shot was sort of startling.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Did you guys, not to cut you off, Pat, but did you guys catch Jasmine's confessional of like what she thought London was like?
Yeah.
That
was remind me, what did she say?
She just gave like terrible examples of what she thought London was about, and then she's like, I really don't know much about London.
Like she had to say that because we were like convinced she was like an expert. But what about, wasn't it Newark that they thought was?
Oh yeah,
it was like a town in New Jersey that was like they thought was some exotic place, or
yeah, they were like, I think you can see the northern lights from like Newark, New Jersey. It was like, nope, that's definitely not it. I was like, I don't know if you've been to Newark, but it is not like what you're describing. And Jasmine is, oh my God, Jasmine's the worst. And her going like doing the British accent with the already over the top Southern accent. I was like, I get some ice picks and just right there. Like, yeah. Oh, and then do we talk about the birthday stuff?
Not yet, no.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know if we're jumping the gun there, but my God.
She's a Leo.
Yeah, right. But like, it was like, what is that? I have a pet peeve. Like, I always hated it when I was like working on a show and there'd be someone talking about their birthday 2 weeks ahead of time. It's like, you know, I had full years where I went through the day and nobody knew it was my birthday, right? And I thought that was a win. Like, that to me was a win. When people talk about their birthday, I immediately want to punch them in the face. Like, that's like our job to figure out your birthday and come to you. It's like, don't tell me today's your birthday. So when they showed that it was her birthday for several days, then it was her week, then it was the birthday month, it was great to watch Turner get frustrated with it because that's exactly what I would do.
The other punishments were, you know, Indy had to be a rock star and play at all odd hours of the night, some songs. I think it was starting to get on people's nerves. That's always, you know, a BB classic, as well as Taylor had to be next to Joseph the entire week, and they had to do New York and like UK accents. Were you guys impressed with the accents at all?
I found that really like grating as well. It's like the dueling accents, and it was really annoying, you know. And I didn't want Indy to have to wear something form fitting. Let's be honest, I did not want to see that. And but I will say this is that she has really high self-esteem and she sees herself as a beauty. So good for her. That's great. You know, you want someone to feel confident. But it's a lot. Like, I think, and for someone who's not made up often on the show, like she very rarely, like maybe for a live show, she'll put a little makeup on. But for the most part, she just looks sad and depressed, laying in bed all day, just laying around. It's like, it's sunny outside. And I know other people are by the pool. Get a little sun. She didn't want to do that. So, but she was very confident about how she looked on the show. You know, like there was always like the little dancing, and it was like, I don't know. I didn't know where I'm going with this.
Out of the 3 punishments, what if you were in the situation, which one would you have preferred?
I would have taken the tattoo thing, I think.
Yeah, that seems a little like you have to less like pissing other people off kind of thing. But you also have to get people to put them on you at some point. So it's like,
but if they're awake nobody minds it unless and like Terrence isn't like a super handsome guy, so like nobody they weren't like grossed out by him, right? So I don't want to have a chain to another body and then have to use the bathroom. Like I don't want somebody waiting outside for me outside the bathroom. Like in the past years, they've showed that a little bit more. Like they really show that with Turner and with Taylor and Joseph. Maybe because it was like a male female situation and that's a little bit creepy. It's like so one of them takes a shower, the other one's chained right there. It's like that's really sort of like borderline. But
yeah, I would definitely think that's it.
But that was always a fun competition. Like you guys alluded to, bold move for Alyssa to take the London trip away from the HOH, even though she says, I have a replacement nom right to her face. So ultimately, almost gets
pretty
really
clear cut. She was pretty upfront about. I have nominations still, and I was so surprised that Alyssa just was like, "No, I don't care. Give me that."
Yeah, it was you don't really ever see that. Like you would see somebody take the veto, even though ultimately it's going to get taken away from you. Luckily, Kyle wins the veto. But what do you guys think about the struggle that Kyle's been put through here with, they want him to use the veto to backdoor Alyssa, but he's just not going to do it.
It's tough because their whole reasoning and Taylor's whole reasoning. Taylor was legit upset and was doing this out of the fact that she got her vacation taken from her, and they pinned it as Alyssa's a bigger threat, even though she's not. She hasn't won anything, and I understand. I understand if they want to get that showman's out, but you can't ask the guy who's in the showman's to take that shot. That's impossible. Like he's clearly not going to do that. So why bring that up and get hit? Because now you have a situation where he feels like he has no choice and he blows everything up. So I think retroactively, they are the ones to blame for blowing this whole thing up. I don't know, because now he feels on the outs and he's got granted, I don't know if it's too late, but asking him to do that is like, and when there's no need to, you had it, at least give him that. I thought it was I thought it was stupid, to everybody ask him to do this. And then, because what does that accomplish? You have your targets up, just don't use the veto.
I think also it's like for a young guy who's a little goofy, who is lusting after this attractive girl who's clearly using what she has to confuse him and to like persuade him. He's handling himself really well. And it's things, and a lot of it is luck because it's like the way things go, but also it's all sort of falling in line. And I don't think that he's playing a dumb guy. I don't think that he's clever enough to do that, but he's not a dumb guy. Like he's smarter than he comes off. And I'm glad a lot of that silly dancing has gone away because that was really like, it was like,
that was the entire personality. It was.
He's like, me, the guy who does silly dances with my mom. And it's like, well, no, I don't. I don't know that character. I've never seen that. And I don't need to see it. Like, I'm okay with not seeing the guy who does silly dances with his mom.
Don't look at his TikTok then.
Is that all it is?
I've been in on a rabbit hole in that, and wow, a lot of that.
Now I have to do it. Now I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah, and also with Kyle, there was a segment about him, and there was a lot of talk on Twitter, and he got a bunch of flack for it, for referencing, is there another cookout? They did a segment of like, well, what if Monty, Taylor, Jasmine and Joseph, what if they're all actually working together? And he says this to Nicole and who's dominating the game right now?
Michael.
Nicole and Michael, and they give it a thought, and then they're like, well, that's actually not what is happening.
Yeah.
But my big thing was it wrong of him to obviously it's clearly wrong because Taylor and Jasmine have clearly not been on the same side. So to even allude to that is kind of like, I get where he's coming from, but at the same point, it's like, there is no evidence to back this up. They backdoored Amira. So if that was the case, then the votes wouldn't have been going the way they've been going. But I thought that was interesting for him to bring that up. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's warranted. I think it's like, listen, that was the big power and it controlled all of last season. So to not think that was a possibility and not to bring it up, it's funny watching white people talk about the cookout in the safest way possible without trying to say, because you can't, they couldn't be like, hey, if there's another cookout situation, we need to get together, us white people, and stop it. You can't say that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like watching them sort of skate around it was really interesting. It was really kind of funny to watch.
Because that is like an impossible situation. You don't want to say this is happening, or you don't you're trying not to be prejudiced, but right. Because of last season, I think there is a moment where everybody is like, hold on, could this be happening? But I think the way the votes have been going, it's like, I feel like it's clear that it's not,
And Michael's the smart one. So Michael was like, it's not happening. But
yeah,
because he sees it, he knows that's not happening. We don't need to worry about that,
Yeah. But I thought, what was that?
Speaking of Michael, it's interesting to see him kind of take a step back and let the leftovers kind of go after each other here. He's playing it perfectly, right? He's kind of egging one side on to the other side, and there's a point where Kyle approaches him and Brittany and is like, if shit hits the fan, those three are close, so we have to have each other's back with Alyssa. So Michael, again, just putting on a clinic here.
Yeah, just it's not even close. Also, before we move on, what do you think about Taylor yelling at Kyle when he doesn't?
I forgot about that,
dude. That was hard to watch.
Improv.
That was, yeah. And what?
Pat, as an improv specialist, break that down for us.
As my mentor Michael Delaney would say, old UCB improv instructor, what's the game? No, it was terrible. It was so I mean, granted, Kyle just kind of went for it, but it was so funny watching Taylor run in and be like, hey, I'm gonna yell at you, and him being like, what? And then, you're supposed to use the veto, damn it, and then walks out, and everybody's like, she puts on her Oscar-winning performance, and then Kyle walks out and goes, yeah, I don't know why she yelled at me. She told me she was going to yell at me. Completely that was a little much, I thought.
But Pat, as a guy who's, when he's not on this podcast, spends his time creating content, and much of which is improv, how often do you go into an improv scenario where you tell the partner that you're going to do it moments before, a split second? Hey, did you give me a chance to get anything?
It's usually not how that works,
No, there's got to be some sort of plan. And the only thing that guy could do last minute is do a wacky dance with his mom. He can't do an improv scene. And the best thing was when he walked out, what he said was, I then have to go along with it. So he had the burden of having to pretend to everybody after the fact that was legit. It was such a bullshit. I loved it. I love that she did it. And I think she did my favorite, where she looked at the camera afterwards and gave it a little wink, which is constantly is doing.
Yeah. Loved it. Yeah, I love that. That was a funny moment where Kyle was like, yeah, now I have to go along with it. And Kyle walks out going he's pissed.
I believe right before she tells him that she's gonna do that to him, you kind of get a little like, oh, please don't do that, and then
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, no, 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 no.
But you know
Because
what the
he's trying to
funny thing is?
understand what's happening.
But the only person who bought it and she buys everything that's phony is the Southern girl. She's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe they were finding like two butter beans that weren't getting along in a kettle. And it's like, okay, it's totally fake. Everybody knows it's fake except you.
Oh,
He
I
wants it to be real.
love Jasmine. Jasmine, this entire game has been so gullible and has such a skewed mind of the game where like everything is face value, and she
Yeah.
just does not understand that like what you're seeing is like not what's happening. Like
Right.
like the one thing with Joseph where she's like, oh, Joseph's not the smartest, and she's just giving information to him, saying like Joseph's not too smart, the sharpest pork, whatever. And
Pork.
it's pork. It's just so funny that Jasmine is like that. This is like so clearly staged, and Jasmine's like, "Oh, she's pissed. I better talk to Taylor."
Yes, and we'll get to Jasmine not having a great read on the game in this next round, but ultimately Indy is evicted over Terrence. Not really much of a back and forth there. It was kind of the leftovers decide to go for Indy there. She becomes the first member of the jury, and I think this was the episode where there's a live audience, right? This is the first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she came out doing her little like I'm attractive dance, and I think the audience was like, "Oh, what?" The other thing is that when Julie says, so stay there, Indy, because later on I'm gonna do a more extensive interview. I think that was the first time 0 people went to that to watch. Like nobody's like I need more insight from Indy. Nobody.
Yeah.
I think Julie was like, "There's nobody coming into the room. Like this is like."
I'm looking forward for Julie to pick Indy's brain, on the game.
She is the first member of the jury, so she will be voting for a winner. It'll be interesting to see how she decides to go about that. But, first member of the jury, so congrats to Indy making it to that phase of the game. Now we get into the good stuff, right? The next episode, we have this twist. We have the big Brochella, and then we have Dire Fest. And I think it's safe to say this was DJ Showtime's coming out party.
We are a pro DJ Showtime podcast. Yeah.
It's like he was never a bus driver. He was always a DJ in my mind, right? Like he's finally like a shot caller, and I'm so happy for him.
I think he played this week out so well. So Michael wins obviously another competition win. So obviously really dominating the game, really padding the stats at this point. And he is inside, and he chooses, four other people to go with him. He chooses Taylor, Jasmine, Brittany, and Monty. And then DJ Showtime is, outside. They're outside all week. So what did you guys think of this twist of 5 people inside for a week, and then I guess the other 5 live outside for the whole week?
I was wondering, like, as soon as he picked Jasmine, she didn't realize that it was like a death sentence, right? Like, she still thought, oh, that's so sweet. It's like, you're going to pick somebody that you could easily get rid of that's going to be on the block. But yeah, I got completely lost on her.
And that's good on Michael too for not automatically picking the person he obviously not picking Nicole first. And because as soon as that twist was first of all, awesome twist, loved it. But it was cool to see, and that just goes to Michael's genius. The first thing I thought, I was like, you got to pick somebody who definitely can get out, because this alliance obviously has the numbers. And as soon as he picks Jasmine, I was like, yep, get her out. And she's like, oh my God. thank you. He's like, oh, it's your birth week. He goes, it is my birth week. Thank you, Michael. And I was like, you're done. Goodbye. See ya. And then, I thought it was smart the way he played it. I mean, the other side got
Shit show.
And the inside people were like pretty cut and dry. We know what we're doing. There was maybe, if Jasmine loses, maybe Monty. That was never going to happen. But that was pretty cut and dry. And I also love Jasmine saying to Michael, I don't want to go up on my birth week. Literally, I looked around my room as I'm watching. I was like, she can't be serious. This isn't real life. That's insane. Ugh.
And they were like talking about it like that. She had been like using that excuse a week before as well. So she just brought that over into the house for this week as well.
Yeah. Do you think that she has more than one birthday? Like, does any human being, were they born over the course of multiple days? I don't know.
I think that might be it.
I love the way that DJ Showtime really, there's so many times when you're the head of household and it's a wasted week. Like, you didn't really spend the time gathering information. It's like you carry all this power and you should really be milking it for all the information. I don't remember a week where someone milked it for as much information as he has. And it was almost like watching Michael play in a way. It was like, wow, DJ Showtime, that's impressive. I thought he did a great job.
He did such a great job. Yeah. And it was kind of just the rest of that alliance kind of just crumbled. So I wanted to ask you guys, what did you guys think of the two different approaches between, Kyle spills all the beans and then Joseph, even in his exit interview, he ultimately gets eliminated. He's like, I was staying loyal until the very end. Like, obviously didn't work out for him, but what did you think of Kyle just like coming clean to DJ Showtime?
It was the smartest play he could have done. I don't think there was any other situation where Kyle and Alyssa both get out of there if he doesn't come clean. Because as you see, like, we go in and DJ Showtime, and again, Shane, you were absolutely right. He milked every information. He played that, and it's funny because we've been like kind of joking. He's been like kind of like the joke. Oh, he's the old guy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Completely turned it around. Like, for real.
I was like,
damn, Showtime. I'm all about, like, get me a hoodie with Showtime on it. I'm there. Like, it was so cool to see. And he did milk all the information, but I think Kyle played it the exact right way, because I don't think because if he's truly trying to, and he is, like, he's saving his showmance, there was no other way, because we go in and DJ Showtime, Terrence, is his immediate guy is Turner. And Turner's in his ear like, okay, well, this is what we should probably do. Like, this is a showmance. And if Kyle doesn't come clean, I think this turns into Turner's HOH. So, it was good.
I agree. I thought that was the only move Kyle could do. Joseph was doing a sort of a self-righteous thing at one point, but he didn't have a leg to stand on as soon as the five swatters were brought up, because he was being shady in the five swatters. So he can't sit there and play this higher moral ground thing when you were taking information from and lying to the two girls who had your back, and you were running upstairs to tell everyone about the five spotters. You even thought the name was stupid. Like, we all thought the name was stupid, but like, you were part of it.
I mean, it was stupid. We'll
And remember how she had explained, like, it's kind of like fly, but it's five, right? And we're like, no,
we get it.
Doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it better. But yes, so he didn't have a shot, and he looked so sad those last couple of days. Like, he just sat with his head down because Kyle beat him,
And it's interesting. I don't know why, and I don't know why he didn't go straight for, because why would you even attempt Alyssa's vote. It's clear she's going to vote for Kyle. The only chance is Turner and Terrence. It's like, play to them, like, as best you can. I mean, you were right. As soon as that group meeting happened, I was like, this is not going to go well, because he gets thrown under the bus. I mean, not thrown under the bus. He was lying, so he didn't have anything.
Dude, could we talk about the alleged TMZ story as well?
We can. I mean, it was thrown in the chat. I think we have to talk about it.
Okay, so allegedly, Kyle and Alyssa have sex outside on a floaty raft, right? So
imagine being Joseph. You're kidding.
Yeah, so like Joseph was like, so this guy not only saved his game, but he's scoring as well, right? He's scoring so many different ways, but like, you still aren't able to make a showman's argument. They're banging on a raft. Right? They're banging
in your face.
In your face.
In your face.
You're like, you can't go to that corner of the yard because sex is happening. You still can't prove a showman's.
DJ Showtime's like, no, see that shit all the time.
He's like, you should see what happens on my bus. That's nothing.
Oh man, dude, it looked like they were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches out in the yard. It just looked horrible. They had to create their own obstacle course. How about that? They're like carrying shit over. That has to be a union violation. They're carrying.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised at Joseph, why he didn't go gun for Terrence and Turner more. Because those two are connected clearly. Like, it's, I don't know, but we come out of it with kind of 4v4. And do you think this is going to last?
Let's just finish up with Joseph here before we move into that alliance that was created. I do agree. I think he definitely sinks the ship with bringing everybody together, because he like really outs himself with that 5 Swatters alliance. Really tough for Joseph. Great. I thought he had a great season. He has to gets eliminated here. First of the leftovers to be eliminated. He's the 3rd juror, and he leaves without seeing the rest of the house, which kind of sucks. So he won't see those people until, speeches at the end. But yeah, so what do you guys think of DJ Showtime rounding up the rest of Dire Fest and creating an alliance called the After Party? Do you think that this has legs, or do you think remaining leftovers will come back together?
That's the question, man. I don't know. I think by having Alyssa part of it helps. Like, having the showmance in there is really helpful. I think Turner doesn't know what to do. Turner's the wild card, right? Like, so Turner could go either way, and I think it sort of helps his game. I think giving it a name helped, like the after part, giving it a cool name, right? Like if they went in as
first one of the season.
Yeah. If they went in as the 5 Swatters, I'd be like, no chance, right?
Yeah.
The after party, that's the kind of like, that's even better than the cookout. Like I would want that as my, my name, my team name. So I don't know. I think Turner decides whether or not it sticks around and who gets power.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's bad for Michael's game. This is like, because also he can't compete in the next HOH, and if we stack up the leftovers and the after party, Michael, the best competitor, can't compete. You have Nicole, you have Taylor. I mean, Taylor really hasn't won anything. Nicole's won 1 veto, and Monty.
And I think you are calling Brittany Nicole.
Brittany. I am calling Brittany Nicole. I've been calling her Nicole this entire time. Wow. Brittany and Monty hasn't won anything either, up against Kyle, Alyssa, and Turner. So I think those 3 versus this 3, if the after party gets power, I think we're it's in rough shape for the leftovers.
Okay,
I
so
think it all.
say after party gets power. Say Alyssa wins or Kyle wins. Who do they put up? Who would you put up if you were in the after party? Who would you put up?
Well, you think about it, if one of those the showmance wins, you really can't nominate Terrence, right? Because he just saved your ass.
Right.
Um
And you can
you
beat Terrence down the road, you know?
Yeah.
well, he's kind of
Well,
coming
I
out
mean,
now.
Terrence stacked up those plastic food containers. I don't know why Joseph could not win that competition. You know, it's not like so. I was just he deserves to be out because he couldn't win that competition. But like, I think you take out. I think you take you put up Monty and the woman. I'm blanking on her name with the red spandex pants. Black
Brittany?
woman.
Oh, Taylor?
You put Taylor and Monty up, and then when one of them comes off, because one of them will, because they're both pretty good competitors, you put Michael up, and then you backdoor Michael. You have to. You have to make it. You have to get Michael out, or you stand.
And I think the only person who's going to realize that is Turner. So I
Yeah.
think Turner is going to be in the ear of who, if he doesn't win, whoever wins from the after party. So it's going to be a rough go for I think Michael.
Turner is sitting
think-
really pretty, right? Because he's coming into this
Yeah.
having watched the two dudes kind of cannibalize each other there in the alliance that he was in, and now he has this new alliance. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of sells Kyle out to the remaining leftovers. Be like, yo, he sold he sold this entire alliance out to Terrence, because they're obviously going to have to ask questions on how Joseph got eliminated. But it'll be
awkward. It's going to be awkward for him because there's going to be conversations, and he's got to really make up. It sounded like from last night that he's going to stick with the after party. Like at least they lead you to believe that where that's his mindset now. But then you go in and you're watching them hug in the kitchen, and you're like, oh man, he just got hugged by Michael, and Michael's like the mastermind, you know?
Yeah. It's these next few episodes are going to be really this next HOH is super crucial. So I don't know.
and I think
I'm sorry, Duke. One last thing before you switch. They brought in what's her face from the cookout to host the challenge. Tiffany. I love Tiffany. She was the one that America chose. She was so great.
Yeah.
What a snooze fest in this competition. Like, can you give us a moment with Tiffany where she can talk to them for a second so we can remember how much we loved her? She was like a terrible teleprompter reader. It was like you should have just had someone from the local news host it. It was so bad. It was like,
yeah,
like when you bring back a favorite, like let us enjoy them. It's like we love these people, and then she just came back and it was nothing, you know.
I wonder why she couldn't go in there into the house like live and do it. I feel like that would have been so much better.
Yeah, and it's more the whole thing about being in the house and staying in the house is that it was a reward over the people that were in the yard. So put her in the house so they can enjoy her, and then the people in the yard just see her, you know, and it's like, I don't know. It was a missed opportunity. I think, Duke, you need to get on this podcast a Big Brother legend. So like you need to like start putting some calls out because we got questions and only like a Big Brother legend can answer those.
Well, we'll try to put in some extra work there and try to get somebody big, a legend of the game. So effectively we're at the final 8. It's getting down to the nitty gritty here. 6 more eliminations and then we have a finale. Who do you guys feel good about? Who do you guys feel like who do you guys think is in the best position right now?
Turner.
Yeah. I'd say Turner,
Then Michael for me. Turner 1, Michael 2.
I think it'd be Turner. Obviously, you can never count Michael out. I also think Alyssa is kind of in a good position too, because out of the showmans, I think people are going to gun for Kyle before her, because that's an easy sell too to get Kyle out. So I think Alyssa is if she and Showtime can kind of make a run here this after party, she might be in a good position. So,
Do you think it will come up on the show that there may have been sexual relations in the outside yard? Because that could be something used on finale night that I could see a little bit of slut shaming on her. Not that that's cool, but like she will be held to a different, like, because that's just how our society works. Like they're not going to give him a hard time. Hey, you used her to get farther. They'll think that she used him because, we don't treat women the same way as we treat men, unfortunately. So like that could be used against her. So do you see CBS editing out any sort of commentary about what happened in the yard?
1,000%. I don't think they touch that with a 30-foot pole. But I don't know, because at first this showman was kind of like, all right, he's distancing himself. Okay, but she's using it. But I think they genuinely like each other. Like, I don't know. Like, I think like their relationship.
Love?
I think it is love. I think it might be the power of love might win this season.
Jesus.
But I hope not, because that's boring. But I don't know. I think their relationship is legit. It's just how long can you keep it afloat? I think that's the $1 million question. Is there is going to come a point where you don't have the Mickey situation where Mickey and his showman made it to the end. I don't see that happening. I'd be super disappointed if it did, because that would suck, because I don't think either of them deserve it, but I don't know.
I don't think there's any way that happens. And I think if one of them makes it to the end, I think it would be Alyssa. And I think she would actually garner a lot of votes because she would have overcome the majority alliance of the season. Obviously depends on who she would be up against, but she would have overcome, the majority alliance of the season. And she didn't know about it until right now in the game. So I think that would be a testament to survival mode / adapting. But that also is a huge blind spot.
It also,
Yeah.
also like the fireside chat that happens with Dr. Will and all of the people in the jury house, which is awkward. And it just shows how like pissed off people are. And they're like, I'm not taking it personally, but they're 100% taking it personally. They're like so mad. And it always comes back to their game. Like when you voted me out or when you put me on the block in episode 2, it's like, wait, what? The person who's in the chair is like, I don't remember that. That was 42 days ago. It's like, I don't even remember. Were you on the show? Like, I love when early people come on and it's like, I don't know who you are.
Speaking of people,
I can't wait to see
not
Jasmine's question.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Who took my muffin?
I swear to God, if that muffin makes it in the finale, I'm going to throw my TV out the window.
There's one other shout out I just want to give to, Pat, you were calling Brittany Nicole, but Brittany did win a competition this past episode. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
Do we think she's drawing dead still? Or do you think maybe she has a shot?
What is that phrase, drawing dead? Does that mean like she doesn't have a shot at all?
Like can't win the game.
She can't win the game. She's drawing dead.
Yeah. But she did win a competition, so shout out to Brittany.
So shout out to Brittany. And it's a shame. I like Brittany, but I don't know. Like none of these guys, other than because Michael's just been winning everything. When somebody else wins, you're like, oh wow, they can do that. It's insane.
Brittany feels to me like the local realtor that you don't even want to walk past the open house because she's so annoying, right? And she's like trying to get you in to look at like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and you're like, I'm not even in the market. Like she's super annoying to me. What is her real job? Because she's one of those players who has like what she feels is an intense job that we shouldn't know about because that'll make us worried about. But like, what is she?
What is it?
She said something during the competition that she won that she had like telepathic tendencies. And I think that's something along the lines of what she does.
Like she's
What?
like, what else is there? Like,
wait. Oh shit.
Wait, what did you say, Uncle Shane?
Isn't she a hypnotist?
Or Pat, what did you say?
A hypnotist? Is she a hypnotist?
Oh,
I think, right?
This is terrible. She must be terrible. But like, did she tell somebody she invents toys or she's a toy? Who did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was her. She was
Interesting
like,
pivot. Interesting pivot there.
I love that everybody thinks that their career is so important that they have to change it. It's like I can't tell them that I work on the roads in town because they'll realize that I build things. So I'm going to tell them that I'm a farmer. You know, it's like, dude, who gives a shit about what your job is? You guys are
exactly. Unless you're a detective, which we've found out doesn't matter because because unless you're Derek, it doesn't matter. But I love that. I like the idea that they're like, oh, I'm a toy tester. They're like, okay, let me find a dumb job that's not threatening. I'm a toy tester.
Nobody's gonna ask me questions about.
Yeah, and I just love the idea that there's like a toy tester watching Big Brother, like, God fucking damn it, really? Like,
right.
Like,
you're right. Like the detective. What was the name of that person who was voted out fairly?
I think that's
Nicole.
Oh, that's Nicole. She couldn't wait to tell people that she was a detective, and she told DJ Showtime, and he wasn't even voted out. And then she had to realize that like now someone's walking around with her big secret.
Yeah,
it's like she's really a cook. It's like I would have been like, well, why are you no longer a detective? Like, what went wrong? Like, what?
Yeah,
too many cold cases. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so funny.
Well, shit, that was a lot to catch up on.
I love your signature sign off. Well, shit.
Well, shit. Anything else, guys, before we close it out here on Lost at Sea? It's been a lot of fun catching up. Anything else that you guys can think of?
No, I think we're good.
No, my question is, how many times will somebody wink at the camera in the next couple of episodes?
A lot.
I love that. We're all in this together. It's like nobody's watching.
Dude, the other thing is, not only did Joseph not get to say goodbye to any of his friends, he couldn't even watch the goodbye messages. That's like the one thing that you have to look forward to when you're out, is to hear like someone say something nice about you. And they're like, we're gonna put that on the CBS.com, which is just like
Yeah.
There's no traffic there.
Zero traffic.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys taking the time to talk some BB. We will be back next week to talk about what happens when everybody comes back together, if it's leftovers or the after party that kind of moves forward in the game.